It is a first down. Pirates.
You can paint this with purple. What an incredible win by the ECU Pirates.
What is going on, Pirate Nation? Welcome into Blackbeard's Alley, Episode 2. I'm joined, as you see there on the screen, by former East Carolina linebacker from the mid-'90s, Mark Libiano. Mark, we appreciate your time this evening. Welcome in.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me. Excited to
Yeah, no
talk about
doubt.
Pirate football.
Yeah, always enjoy talking Pirate football with you. Here we are, just a few days away from the Pirates playing again against Campbell. But now that the smoke has cleared on last Thursday night's 24-17 heartbreaking loss at Carter Finley to the Wolfpack. What were some initial thoughts? Because I know you were out there in the LA area, watching with some former Pirates, David Hart, one of your teammates, and also Shep Sapaniak.
Yeah, so the actual university sent out requests to go watch it in two different places, one in Orange County and one in Beverly Hills. And we're down here in the South Bay by the LAX, and we just kind of jumped on, the text message chain. And next thing you know, Vince McCurry basically said, "Hey, look, I'll make some cheeseburgers and have some guys over." And so we all kind of went over there and had a good time and enjoyed it, man. It was fun. It was neat. It was all good guys and good to view. So
Yeah, that was awesome. I enjoyed seeing those pictures on social media. I believe it was on Facebook, and there were a lot of former Pirates, teammates of yours, and otherwise, at Carter Finley, you had recent alums, guys like Keaton Mitchell, Rajay Harris, Deontay Johnson, from the past few years, and of course, in two of those guys' cases, they were on last year's team that won that Military Bowl 26-21 over the Wolfpack. But then you had guys like Robert Jones, Chris Hall, and I'm sure several others as well. So it's great to see those former guys invested in the program, attending games, and we were right there on the brink of pulling that one out, and a thriller at the end, just could not get it done. And we'll dive into some of the scenarios that unfolded on Thursday night. But the Pirates, you couldn't have really scripted a worse start. 4 straight 3-and-outs, 3 plays 1 yard, 3 plays negative 3 yards, 3 plays negative 23 yards, and 3 plays negative 3 yards on ECU's first 4 possessions. So there you were in a situation where on the first drive of the game for the Wolfpack, they went 15 plays, 64 yards, really had a personal foul that bit them in the butt, 3rd and goal at the 22, and had to settle for a field goal. And from that point on, the defense played pretty well outside of a couple of plays where they gave up deep balls, especially the 48-yarder for a touchdown.
yeah, we were a little shaky in the beginning, and just want to address some of those players that are kind of coming back, and that's what the program needs. And I think Coach is open to that, and it's great to see. I think that history helps out. It's funny because I pulled up the first drive when they got that field goal, and I was scrolling down a little bit. Sorry. The wife and the kids are home. I didn't realize how many plays they had on that first drive on that field goal. 1, 2, was it 15?
Yeah, that's one of those things of the game. I knew it was a lot, but then when I was going back looking at the possession chart afterwards, when I saw 15 plays, I thought, wow, that was really a big deal to just hold the Wolfpack to that field goal. And we were in a situation where I was wondering whether they may go for it, but once that personal foul happened and it put them in a 3rd and goal at the 22-yard line situation, they just threw underneath and got closer, picked up about 10 to 12 yards and kicked roughly a 28 to 30-yard field goal.
Yeah, this right here down to the there's the penalty. Then they got the 11-yard pass, and then they had to kick the field goal. So long drive. This, quite honestly, is where the gang and I were a little nervous in the next couple series, where it was kind of like, oh no, here we go. But we'll get into it a little bit later on. Ever since coach took over, man, like there's no quit. And you start looking down into the second quarter and third quarter, where we started to settle down a little bit after that last touchdown. I think it was really good to get that touchdown in there before the third quarter. So it's good, man. I think we're in some good shape, man, compared to other years and where we need to go this year. So super excited.
Yeah, I made the comment that you really couldn't have scripted a worse start. About the only way it could have been worse is if the Pirates would have been bit by some of those turnover issues that we had in 2024. Fortunately, that was not the case, and ECU's ability to take care of the football allowed us to have a chance to win despite 10 penalties and then also not being able to run the football.
Yeah, if you look here, the first three possessions, I know you're going to go into it, but our first three possessions, 3 plays, 1 yard was the first possession. Second possession, 3 plays, -3 yards. And then the third possession, 3 plays, -23 yards.
Yeah, that's where we had the bad snap that went over Caton Hauser's head.
Yeah, and then this is, this first game jitters. All the guys that you mentioned earlier, we all went through this stuff. And like I said before, I thought they did a good job of kind of settling down and figuring out where to go. Let me see here.
Yeah, we really did. After those 4 drives that we've already mentioned, you had an 8-play, 51-yard drive there in the middle of the second quarter where we ended up turning it over on downs. It seems like that was perhaps one of those possessions where we had a drop pass and did a couple things, be it penalties and or drops that we shot ourselves in the foot, but at least gave you some momentum. And then that following possession, when we were trailing 17-0 with 2.5, 3 minutes to go in the half, and had the ball 3rd and 15 there on our own 21-yard line, and we went tempo, and we caught NC State subbing. They had a guy off sides. We got a free play. We hit Javante Connor down the seam, and when they weren't able to get lined up, they delivered a pretty good hit, and Connor bounced off of it though. And then what a job by the Penn State transfer Tyler Johnson. He provided an escort down the sideline. Really a tremendous hustle play that Blake Harrell noted in his Monday press conference. Just that's the type of effort that he loves seeing.
Well, he should, because those are the little things that actually win the games, right? If you break down this actual series that you're talking about, and which I'd like to do real quick, 0 yards for the run, so it's a run, 3-yard run, 9-yard pass, next one, 4th play, incomplete pass, sack. That's your first 5 plays. And then quarterback slings it to, what was it, the tight end, right?
Yep.
Slings
Number
it to
8,
the tight end.
Javante Connor.
Yeah, and then what he does is called, what we call competing, and that's what he did. And then, his teammates came down and helped out. So I think that was the spark that kind of brought those guys to settle down and get back to where they needed to be, So
It really was. And it was funny, during that juncture, when we had our group text going on, and Semenza and I, your former teammate Matt Semenza, and we just said, if we can just make one play and get a little spark, we can come back and win this ball game. And that's what happened with that 79-yard touchdown by Javante Connor. Excellent throw down the seam from Caton Hauser. And that kind of got
Yeah.
Caton going as
Yeah.
well. And then right after that, remember, we had the interception at midfield.
Well, here,
It looked like State may
yes,
get a field goal right before the half, and Tegan Wilk picks it off and returns it to like the State 43, and then all of a sudden we have a chance to make it a one-possession game at halftime, and perhaps would have had we not had a critical holding call.
was it holding or offsides?
It was holding. We had a holding call. I believe it was on our right guard. I won't mention by name because obviously nobody felt worse about it than he did. But yeah, it was just it was no doubt it was the correct call. And then you had to attempt a 53-yard field goal compared to what would have probably been 42, 43-yard field goal.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that interception that Keegan had is, that was where you start to dial in and try to figure things out. Get the stop. You just scored. Get the stop, and then you flip the script, right? And you start driving, and you get the missed field goal. But after that, it was kind of okay. Boys, settle down and let's go, right? So
yeah, kind of
good.
that sequence
on
there.
them, right?
Yeah, that 79-yard touchdown. Here is obviously we can't show video for copyright reasons, but there you have that 3rd and 15 play on our own 21-yard line. NC State, as you see there, is trying to make several substitutions, unable to do so in time. And then this is what it looked like as the ball was snapped. You probably can't see there, but the ball is halfway to Caton Hauser. And there, the number 3 receiver to the top of the screen was Javante Connor, just ran straight down the hash. And Caton put it on him. Big time play there late in the half that got the Pirates back in it. And kind of working in reverse here, Mark. I know we talked about this play earlier, and that was the 48-yard touchdown on. You had the post wheel combination, and when that was the case, here we go. NC State had the ball, 2nd and 10 on the ECU 48, and that's how the Pirates lined up pre-snap. To the top of the screen there, you had the post by number 1, the wheel route by the number 2 receiver, and this is how it looked from the other angle. And just after the ball was snapped, and you see our safety to that side and just never moves. And I would like to have been in the film room to know exactly what transpired here as far as exactly what our call was, and just a blown coverage, it appeared.
Yeah, you could almost tell where they were going.
Right.
So that'll get cleaned up. I mean, just watching Blake's defense for the last couple of years, I think he makes some pretty good adjustments. So I don't know if that was mental error by one of our kids, but it's the first game. They're going to make a few of those, and it is what it is. They're going to score. North Carolina State's going to score. I don't think there was too many other bad mental mistakes, or did you find a few more? But
I'm sure there were some, but to your point, that's where I was going to take that, and that is that after we gave up those 2 quick touchdowns early in the second quarter, I love the way we kept playing, and we bounced back, made some things happen offensively as well as defensively, and then all of a sudden, NC State starts to feel the pressure a little bit, and knowing that if they don't make some things happen, that we may very well come back and win that football game. Another play I wanted to ask you about, and just kind of not just specifically this play, but just obviously Mike Wright coming in from Northwestern, had also been at Vandy and Mississippi State. A very talented athlete, had run track in the SEC at Mississippi State, and much had been made of him being a legit 4-3 guy. He's lined up in the slot to the bottom of the screen.
Mm-hmm.
NC State, you could tell they knew what was coming. So that's the first screenshot there. And then here's after the ball was snapped and we're handing it to him on a jet sweep. You see the defensive tackle, he's running right to right. I would love to have known if this was a read play or if this was just a straight jet sweep, because if it was a read play, if it was a power read, and we pulled the guard there and we pulled the right guard, and Caton Hauser, if he had the option of pulling it, had something up inside. I know later on, I need to go back and watch there. Remember the final possession of the game where Hauser had a 4 or 5 yard run to set up 3rd and 1 down at the state 9. It may have been a similar play, even though it wasn't Mike Wright we were faking it to. But point being, I would love to see Mike Wright used as a decoy and us take advantage of the opposition, expecting him to get the football. Mark, are you there? Mark, I can't hear you if you're with us. You may need to sign out and sign back in right quick. But again, Pirate Nation, we are joined by former East Carolina Pirate linebacker Mark Libiano, getting his insight and perspective on the Pirates' 24-17 loss and the things that ECU needs to work on moving into this matchup with Campbell on Saturday. Earlier on Tuesday afternoon, we caught up with Chris Haymeyer, the voice of the Campbell Camels, a guy that's no stranger to Pirate Nation. And you take a look, at Chris Haymeyer. Back in the day, he hosted the fifth quarter call-in show on Pirate Radio back in its early days, and then has done several games down through the years on the ESPN Plus platform, be it men's basketball, football, or baseball. I believe Mark's back with us now.
Sorry about that. I
Mark, I
crashed
thought you were going to make me do a monologue there. I felt like Jay Leno for a moment.
I just let you go and let you roll. Sorry about that. It just crashed out. So
No problem. So I was just saying that obviously Mike Wright, very skilled. I know he's going to make his plays at some juncture this year, but
so that's
I would have
one of the
liked to.
Yeah, I want to speak on that real quick. One of the downfalls about being your first game is once he gets in, they're just they're gonna spy on him. They know, right? When this guy comes in, what's he doing? So that's the unfortunate thing of the first game playing. I think the coaches will get him into some other aspects of the game where there might be some misdirection and things like that. So, I mean, if you're playing on the other side of the ball game, you're just watching, you're figuring out where he is, and you're talking to your teammates. So, I think what was he in there? 2 plays, 3 plays, and
He was in. I'm not sure exactly how many snaps he played. As far as touches, he had 2 or 3. Yes, and that one that I was calling attention to there midway through the second quarter, where we handed it to him on a jet sweep and he lost probably 4 or 5 yards. NC State was their defensive tackle ran right to it. He was just right there waiting on him.
yeah.
And I was just wondering, I would love to know if that was just a straight jet sweep or if it was a power read, because the guard pulled, and had Caton Hauser pulled it, he had something up inside on the power play.
So the coaches talk on that. I don't know if they're actually going to come out and tell you, but anyone that knows football is you really don't want your quarterback getting beat up in the first game, right? So I don't know if they're telling them specifically where they want the ball handed off, and I don't know later on down the line, maybe in the next couple games or something like that, where it becomes Caton's read, right? he can pull it and go. But you saw that last year, kind of at the end of the year, where Caton had a lot more autonomy of making his own call. Where you saw when he first got in there, the first couple games, he was directed. So I don't know what it is, but they're going to take a look at that on the film, and they'll figure it out in the next couple games. So
another great thing about Thursday night's matchup is just the way we bounce back, not only from the 17-0 and 24-7 deficit, but just when NC State scored to make it 24-7 there late in the third quarter, or actually probably mid-third quarter, but it was still 24-7, and we were driving as the quarter ended. And right there, I think it's literally the first play of the fourth quarter, we ran the option and pitched it to Marlon Gunn for a 4-yard touchdown run. And it had NC State on its heels, and forced a couple of missed field goals and had an opportunity to win it late.
So I want to talk about the rhythm. I think they got in the rhythm. We go back to that first touchdown. The Pirates kind of came out and felt their own. I thought after those first couple series that our offense and defense and credit special teams, I thought we pretty much got in rhythm and kind of went through. I don't know how far you want me to take my conversation with being in rhythm, but you could see once they got
however you want to take it.
but you could see how important it is. I think if we're going to be successful this season, I think we need to just play our game and worry about some other things. Down to the last downs, I think we had 12 plays in the 4th and 1. I would have liked to see our coaches push that rhythm a little bit more, where you could have actually, if you scored and State got the ball, I don't know what happens, but sometimes you get a chance to come back and score again or get a field goal. So I think we play our better game when we're in rhythm, and we just need to figure out. I think I sent you a text and Matt Semenza. The big things I wanted to kind of watch this game was the offensive line, the linebackers, and the turnovers. So we did well in the turnovers. The linebackers seem pretty pure to me. They'll get better during the season. And then the offensive line, I think after we kind of got the offensive line kind of sorted out, you still have the issue of, run the ball. How do we run the ball to keep everyone honest? I think we have 3 backs that can do it. And I think the coaching staff's going to figure out a way to do it. I'd like to see some more edge running from these guys. I think they got speed, and I think that it'll open up and keep the defense honest, which will keep our passing kind of in rhythm, and that's where we're going to gobble up some points. So sorry for the long-winded conversation, but I think we're in some good hands, man. I think we got some good athletes, and I think some adjustments will be made very quickly. And then the running game. Everyone's talking about the running game. It's we had some good backs for the last couple of years. That kind of spoiled us a little bit, but I think these 3 backs, once you figure out how to get those guys in space, it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, if you talk about the offensive line, you had Panda Askew and Bryce Weaver, 2 local guys from nearby D.H. Conley. They played well, and we played 7 offensive linemen in the game. And Coach Harrell said at Monday's press conference that you can expect to see at least that, and probably 8 this week. You'll have Jason Tarpey, who had to miss that game against NC State. I believe it was due to a suspension pertaining to the little brawl in the bowl game. But very intrigued to see how that goes. You had a couple guys playing tackle in Jamarian McCrimmon and then Cooper Chinasky, that Chinasky's first time playing football at the Division I level after transferring in from Newberry, and then McCrimmon, I believe last year, right tackle, and then this year left tackle, playing there, protecting Caton Hauser's blindside. But kind of shifting over and taking a look at the defense overall, I think we did a pretty good job of limiting the big plays. You gave up the 148-yard touchdown pass, and then there was another, I think it's a 48 or 50-yard pass that one of those possessions where they ended up missing the field goal that was pretty well defended. The state receiver just went up and made an excellent catch. But outside of that, you look at Hollywood Smothers, I think his longest carry was 19 yards. And for the game, he averaged 3.5 yards per carry, and 13 of his 22 carries were for 2 yards or less.
Yeah, I think our defense played a little bit better than what a lot of people thought.
Mark, your volume got super low all of a sudden. I don't know what happened.
Sorry. Is that better?
All right. Yeah, perfect now.
Okay. So I was saying, I think our defense played a little bit better than what a lot of people were expecting. If you start watching some of that, I think that mental play, there was maybe one or two other mental plays. I mean, you're going to have a few there, here and there, but I think by and large, you got to give state credit. Some of the receivers just made some great plays, great catches. The one on the sideline was phenomenal catch. Our kids were in position where you look back over the last couple of years before, I didn't think our defensive back guys were in position. This year, they're in position. They just got to make the play, right? So that'll come with time in a couple more games. The linebackers, I thought, covered well. A lot better than what I was expecting, which is great. And our defensive line, held it down. So, if we can get that production out of our defense, 24 points, a few mental errors here and there on the first game, I think you're in good position. You got Blake is a defensive oriented coach, right? So he's gonna excuse me, he's gonna make some adjustments and help out the defense a little bit more. We just gotta, do what we need to do. Pretty good outing. 24 points.
Your volume cut out again.
How about this?
Yeah, it's good now.
Yeah, this is the phone. Sorry about that.
No problem. I think maybe your mic just got covered, but yeah, really did a good job, as I already mentioned, on Hollywood Smothers. 22 rushes for something like 75 yards, and 13 of those 22 attempts for 2 yards or less. And Justin Jolie.
How many tackles for behind the line did we pick up?
I have to double check that. We'll have to. I know. I think in the first half, it may have been 6 TFLs. I'm not sure where it finished for the game, but the point I was making with Smothers, Jolie, and Rogers, we really did a solid job on the three of them. It was Wesley Grimes and Teddy Hoffman that hurt us. Grimes had the 48-yard touchdown and had 4 catches for 121, and Teddy Hoffman 5 for 93. CJ Bailey finished the night 24-34 for 318, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. And, early on, he was just dinking and dunking. To State's credit, they didn't do anything crazy. They took what was there. He was taking the slant routes, some screen passes, and I thought they did a nice job with him early, getting their sophomore quarterback in a bit of a rhythm. And from there, we did a better job of getting some heat on him as the game went along.
Yeah, you could see that coaches had in the game plan is not to let the North Carolina State quarterback run all over us. What's his name? CJ Bailey?
Yeah, CJ Bailey.
I thought great game plan, as in kind of keeping him in the pocket, and then getting him to force the ball somewhere, which you got to give him credit, man. Some of those passes were nice, and the receivers made some spectacular catches and plays. It's going to happen in football. I thought, it's part of the game, man. So I'm just looking at the receivers. He had two receivers, Grimes, that you already mentioned, with 121 yards. Hoffman with 93, and then kind of a few other guys with 20, 27, 19, 17. So 318 yards total, and 3 of them were big chunk plays. So
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And what were your thoughts from a special team standpoint? You had Levy, the new punter, Ryan Levy, who spent last year at Duke but did not play for the Blue Devils. Did not see any game action. He had punted, been the starting punter for, I guess, the 23 season at Furman, and then the majority of the 22 season for the Paladins. And had averaged about 40.5 yards over probably 125 to 150 punts during his time with the Paladins. So, what were your thoughts on the Pirates special teams?
I don't recall after game one feeling as good as I do with the special teams now. Not saying that now, where could just fall apart, but I thought the kicker, I think, how many we kicked the ball in the end zone from the kickoff a few times.
Yeah, I guess we kicked off to start the game. It was out of the back of the end zone, and then we would have kicked off, I guess, 3 more times.
Yeah.
So I think all 4 were touchbacks.
Yeah, it says that we have a return. London had a return. And
yeah, London had a return that was 28 yards there in the second quarter, I think.
Yeah, no, for state says no state kick return. So that's a huge improvement in our eyes as special teams. So I was just happy and excited with the fake punt. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
I was pretty ballsy and loved it, and that's what we kind of need to do. 1 for 2 for the field goal. That 53-yarder that he missed, that was right on line, right? It's just short. So
I went back and watched the replay because I was in the upper deck on the opposite end of the field, so I wanted to get a better look at it. And yeah, it looked like it was going to pretty much split it if it would have had the distance. It came up. I think it would have definitely been good from probably 48, maybe 49 or 50.
Yeah. So there's a plus. And then the punting, you said the punter, Ryan, number 37, 5.
Yeah, Ryan Levy,
5 for 210. So if you do the math, what's that? 42?
Yeah.
Per punt. Long was the 47, so
that was his very first punt. That was there in the first quarter, and excellent hang time on that 47-yarder. So very, very pleased with that aspect. And then how about our transfer punt returner, from Oklahoma State? He's of the Tyler Snead mold, and he did an excellent job back there. Even though he didn't really have an opportunity to show what he could do, you could tell he looked comfortable.
Is he taller than Coach, or Coach taller than him?
I don't know. That's a great question, because I think we list him at 5'8", but on the Oklahoma State roster, he was 5'6", and good and well, being an older player, I think he's at least a 5th-year guy, if not a 6th-year guy. So good and well, he didn't grow 2 inches at 23 years old.
So we got no punt returns. He just fielded the ball, really, right?
Yeah, but he looked kind of where I was going with that. Even though he didn't have a chance to return any, he looked confident back there. Because you
Yeah.
recall at times last year, I won't call guys out, but
No.
there was an option or two we put back there, and you could tell. I think later on they did it and they looked more comfortable, but midway through the year when we put them back there, looked like a fish out of water.
Yeah, no, you could tell this kid was, this is what he's brought in to do, and very confident. And you could just, during the game, you're just like, okay, after the second or third time that he received the punch, you're like, okay, this is his role. We'd like to see him kind of field one or two, but we'll figure that out in the next couple games, right?
Right.
Sorry.
Any final thoughts about this game? And then I had a question or two for you, kind of moving forward.
No, this particular game is just like I said earlier, I thought that the kids didn't quit, which I was in panic mode. I'm a pirate, man. I want to win every game. I was in panic mode, first 3 or 4 possessions, and then once we settled in, I was, the deeper the game got, the more excited we got, right, as watching it, because the talent's coming out. You could see the athleticism, and at the end of the day, they had a point where they could have turned the table, but we've been in so many of those games, so you win some of them and you lose some of them, and it's kind of ironic. We won this the bowl game almost on the last play, and then it comes down to this where you just can't make that fourth down. So it'll get there. We should be excited about this team.
Yeah, no doubt. I think there's plenty of reasons for optimism as we move into this Campbell game, and then the Coastal Carolina matchup the following week. These are two critical games, and I mean, obviously Campbell you have to win, but that game at Coastal, despite what happened to them up at UVA, you know you
Well,
can expect to get their best shot when with the Pirates coming to town for the first time, and we just have to answer the call and go out there and play the way we can play. And I think if we do that, we'll be fine, and then we can be 2-1 with BYU coming to town on the 20th. What were you starting to say?
Well, you know that Coastal's gonna, they're gonna get coached up, and they're gonna make some corrections. So
Right.
I don't think you're gonna see. I think that would they play Virginia?
They played at UVA. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Virginia's a little bit better than what people kind of realize. I think they got some players in there, and they're not a 5-5 team or a 6-6 team, a 500 team. But Coastal's going to come down, and I think it's going to be a big game. I think we got some work to do against Campbell. It would be good to get in rhythm with offense back in, and kind of go from there, and then see how it turns. But you need to get this Campbell game this weekend, and you need to get that Coastal game. So
Kind of my final couple questions for you as we look at this Campbell game. Some of the things that I'm looking for. Can the Pirates get off to a fast start after starting so slowly with those 4 consecutive 3-and-outs against NC State? How's the running game going to progress after running for only 30 yards against the Wolfpack? Can ECU, in this game, in my opinion, I really want to see us rush for a minimum of about 150. I think if we can run for at least 150 to 175 and then throw for 250 to 300, that would be great. But I think those should be our minimum expectations and things that we'd like to see. And then from a defensive standpoint, just kind of building off on what you did at those final couple quarters against NC State, and really seize control of the game early, and don't give Campbell any hope.
definitely.
Force a few more turnovers after just getting the one last Thursday.
Yeah, no, that was a positive, getting the turnover. So it always, always turnovers is a big item, big ticket. Getting that offensive line squared away and get your running game organized is a big deal. Those are the things that I'm going to be watching. To see if defensively you're in position, cut down some of the mental mistakes, and make some plays. So, Campbell's, is going to come in, and hopefully there's a lot of Pirates in that stadium. And we get to do what we need to do to work on some things that need to be ironed out. But this coaches, we got a good staff, and you can see it. They'll get it taken care of, and it'll be fun. I don't really look at yardage or points per se. My thing is how we're going to compete, and I think after we got punched in the mouth with State, our boys came back and competed, which is a big thing. So they made some adjustments, and then show that on the field, right?
Right. And taking a look around the American and what transpired in the first couple weeks, and especially this most recent weekend, you had. How about what South Florida did, beating Boise State 34-7? You had Tulane, and I really liked their chances of winning that game anyway. But then Northwestern threw some fuel on the fire and made the decision that they were not going to wear purple or black uniforms to accommodate Tulane in their wishes to wear white jerseys with their green helmets, the uniform that they had worn during Hurricane Katrina. So you had those two very big non-conference wins for the American, and then you had Rice. How about that new staff going on the road and getting the win over a quality Sun Belt foe like Louisiana, 14-12 there on the Bayou, and those two teams. That was really the defensive struggle. There were only 490 yards combined in that game between the Owls and Raging Cajuns. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying it's the American's going to look a little bit different than it was last year. You saw what Army did a little bit. I didn't get to see what Navy did, but Tulane's going to be Tulane. I didn't think South Florida was going to be that good or put up that many points against, what was that, Boise State?
Yeah.
So I think, you're always going to have some of the conference tilt and move a little bit, but it's going to be interesting. We'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks. After week 2 or 3, you're going to figure out who can sustain playing and who's going to rise to the occasion. So it's going to be interesting. That Rice, is that the triple option coaching staff?
Rice runs the ball in a variety of ways. Yes, that coaching staff. He had been at Davidson most recently, and prior to that, I believe it was Hampton Sydney. But this is his first time trying it at the FBS level. But that staff has had success. Wherever they've been. And so we'll see how it goes at Rice. Certainly an uphill battle, but a very good start. And I heard him speak in person at American Conference Media Days in downtown Charlotte back in July, and very impressed with what he had to say. You had Tulsa beating Abilene Christian 35-7, North Texas. Shut out Lamar 51-0. UTSA gave Texas A&M all they wanted for about 2.5 quarters, and then the Aggies pulled away, winning 42-24 over the Roadrunners. Memphis defeated Chattanooga 45-10. Temple, they won their first game under Casey Keeler, the former Delaware and Sam Houston State coach. The Owls defeated the Minutemen 42-10. You had Maryland beat FAU 39-7, and then Navy beat VMI 52-7. And then you'd already mentioned that Tarleton game. where you had Tarleton State, FCS team, and we'll see. They may be making the transition to FBS here in the next few years, but Tarleton, there's been speculation of them possibly going to Conference USA, but they have a very good FCS budget, and they took down the Black Knights 30-27 in double overtime up in West Point. You had Charlotte losing to App State 34-11, and it really wasn't that close. And then UAB won an absolute shootout with Alabama State out of the FCS ranks 52-42. So there you have the Week 1 American scoreboard. And Mark, any final thoughts on both the NC State game, but really just moving forward into Campbell and then Coastal Carolina? Final thoughts on this Pirate team at this juncture.
No, I just the only thing I'm going to reiterate and say is again is I think we're in a lot better position than we have in years past. I think Blake's staff is got these kids playing. I don't see quit. I see a lot of hustle and competing, which is what you want. I think it's going to be interesting. You start looking at how the schedule sets up and what they can do. It's going to be a fun year. So hopefully what we see and the athletic ability comes out. Coaching should be there, right? So you got they used to say 3 facets of the game: offense, defense, special teams, but there's also coaching, right? So there's really 4, and I think we're in a pretty good position for all 4 of them, and it's good to see. Unfortunately we didn't see the win, but I think we saw a lot of potential, and it's going to be fun. So I can't wait to watch some of these games and hit you up on a few texts. Just get the people out into the stands, which would be, get back to the old Pirates where, they're sellouts. So that's a big issue too, is people don't realize how much that helps,
Well said, and hopefully we'll have a solid crowd. The word is it's going to be in probably the mid-30s or something for Campbell. We shall see. But those BYU tickets are really selling well, as you would expect, and hopefully we'll have close to a sellout when the Cougars come to town on September 20th. That kickoff time is yet to be announced.
we gotta get a sellout on the BYU.
Yeah,
We gotta
I
get that
agree.
place rocking like it used to, man.
No doubt. Got to have Dowdy Ficklin rocking that day, and would really have an opportunity to make a statement in front of a national television audience. But early this afternoon, we caught up with Chris Haymeyer, the longtime play-by-play voice of the Campbell Camels, and we'll have that for you on Wednesday. And he had some excellent perspective on this weekend's opponent. But be sure to follow us on social media. As you see there, you can, of course, watch the show on YouTube, as most of you are doing right now. It can also be listened to on Spotify. On X is Blackbeard Alley. Again, no S on Blackbeard's, or it's at Blackbeard Alley due to Twitter, aka X, just having 15 characters. And then on Instagram, it is at Blackbeard's Alley. But we appreciate everyone tuning in. For former East Carolina linebacker Mark Libiano, really appreciate his time. But I'm Bubba Rosenbaum. You've been watching and listening to the Pirate football recap as we took a look back at the loss to NC State. We'll talk to you soon. And as always, go Pirates.
Go Pirates.
Painted purple.